Welcome, everybody, to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast. I'm Pete Wright. That's Nikki Kinzer.
Hello, everyone. Hello, Pete Wright.
Hello, Nikki. We are continuing our conversation on going back to school. Students of all ages heading back to college, university. You are challenged with all sorts of new pressures if you're dealing with ADHD. So we're taking a couple of weeks to talk a little bit about that. And this week we are starting the new school year with confidence.
With confidence, that's right. And I love that you brought up the fact again that it's not necessarily just the 18 to 21-year-old. It could be anybody. Now, the first tip I have is probably really more for the person that's going into the dorm room, but everything else, it's across the board. So I want to make that clear.
All right.
All right. So definitely, I think starting the new year with confidence is a great thing. Oh, I just dropped something. I'm just getting distracted. Okay, start over.
All right.
All right.
You just go into definitely starting the new year with confidence.
Okay, so I think definitely starting the new year with confidence is a good thing. It's a positive thing. And so I've got just a few tips for you. The first one, as I said, is really more for the person that's going into the dorm room or actually going into the university to live. But when we're talking about organizing your stuff, we want to definitely have that notion of less is more, because if you're going into a small dorm room, or at best, if you're going to be living in a room in a house, like if you have roommates and that kind of thing, you definitely only want to bring what you need. It also means less stuff to lose, right? Because that might be an issue. And so we want to make sure that you just have what you need. So there's lots of different packing lists and things like that you can get off of different websites. And so definitely suggest looking at something like that to give you sort of a guideline to figure out what it is that you need to take. Something to think about when you're organizing that room is to definitely think vertical. Because you are probably going to have some wall space. So crates, bins, things that can stack up really nicely together can definitely be very useful. And my golden rule, Pete, that before you buy anything, you want to make sure that you know what you're taking first. So don't waste your time or money. So definitely get what you're going to use packed up and get kind of a list of what it is that you're going to take with you, and then buy the containers to make it work.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Now you are also going to most likely maybe live with other people. So labeling your stuff can be definitely a positive, not even just so that you have your name on it, but also so that you know what goes in that crate or that bin. So it's just kind of helping you identify where your stuff is, because we know that my rule of organization or definition of organization is finding what you need when you need it. And that still stays the same on the college campus. So
excellent.
there you go. So that's my first tip, is just sort of having that plan on how you're going to organize your stuff and how you're going to live.
But now we go into stuff that applies to all students.
To really all students. And that's picking the right planner. This is really essential for anybody. And now is really the time to decide if you want to do a paper planner or if you want to go digital. And I really have a mix of preferences. I mean, there are some people that have ADHD that really want that paper planner because there's something for them to actually put the paper or the pen and pencil and actually write it out. They want that. But then there's other people who are very digital. Most that they are happy to use their calendar on their iPad or their iPhone. Something that I am not very familiar with, Pete, but I thought maybe you might be, is a digital organizer. What's the difference between a digital organizer and like your smartphone?
Well, I think there are, it seems like kind of an archaic concept, this idea of a standalone device that is just an organizer. I don't think they make, there's a really thriving market for those in an era of like, the iPhone, iPad, OmniFocus, right? That's really what we're talking about. There are apps that you can use that specifically organize schoolwork. There is a thriving ecosystem of developers that are writing apps both both for the computers and for tablets and smartphones that will help you organize assignments, let you take notes, let you organize those notes by assignment, those sorts of things. And I know we are going to talk more in more detail about those in a coming episode. We're going to talk about back to school tech.
Okay.
But I would, I do want to add just a little aside, and this is coming from my role. Many people might not know this. I am also a university instructor, and so I have a certain proclivity. I know what I expect from my students to have in class, and I would say the more of a commitment you can make to go digital, the better. For example, I publish all of my course deadlines as a Google Calendar, which you can subscribe to, and will automatically go into your calendar and time management systems. And when I change assignments and due dates, those automatically get sent out to all my students. So being able to take advantage of those means you need to learn how to use those tools, and you can't learn how to use those tools unless you actually, dive in and adopt those for your life. So there is an increasing expectation that you're going to be digital. You're going to know how to use these things coming into class 8 a.m. day one. So just be ready for that.
Yeah, that's good. Good point. Good perspective too. And I think that with whatever planner, you end up doing, whether it's your iPhone or whatever, that you use one calendar, right? I mean, that's so important that you're not crossovering, or not crossovering. That's not even a word. Crossovering? What is that? Overlapping. Overlapping.
You know what? I didn't even think about it. I was like, oh, well, of course you're going to be crossovering.
You're going to cross over to the next appointment.
I love it.
Okay, so I think I need to have another cup of coffee or something. But anyway, overlapping your schedule. We've talked about this in other time management episodes, but just having that one place that you can definitely know, where you're supposed to be at, what you're supposed to be doing, and not having it all in different places. So whether you go digital or not, you got to choose one, right? I mean, it's got to be one or the other.
Right.
But with what you said, digital is probably going to be maybe the easier way to go down the line. Right?
Well, yeah, and I think that goes into some of the other things you're going to talk about here. It's just this idea of having a digital system that is flexible enough to allow you to adapt to whatever your instructors throw at you.
That's right.
And you'll be so frustrated as soon as that. And I guarantee you'll be frustrated. It doesn't matter what we do as instructors. You're going to be mad. So it just that's the way it is. Great
perspective. Okay, so knowing your schedule is my third tip, and I'll tell you, I've seen this happen before where if at all possible, try to make any changes to your schedule prior to the classes starting. And I know that's not always possible if you're on a waiting list or or something gets screwed up, but I've seen it where somebody doesn't get into the class until the second week of the class, and now they're already behind. And that can be hard for anyone, but it can be really hard for somebody that's struggling with ADHD and can become, really overwhelming. So my suggestion my suggestion is just to, really try to nail those things down, and definitely speak to your counselor and know what classes you need and really stay on top of it so that that stuff is as set in stone as you can, so you can be there on the first day of school, first class, and start off right. Because again, we're trying to start the new year with confidence. Right?
That's right.
Yes. So being prepared, I think that part of that confidence is definitely being prepared and doing a little bit of planning, making sure you have your school supplies bought and ready to go, knowing your schedule, reviewing your schedule. I mean, we've talked about this before in other time management podcasts as well, reviewing your week on a Sunday and then again daily, knowing where you're going to be and when you have to be there, and just getting that visual kind of clip in your mind of this is going to be a really busy week, or this is going to be a slow week, or whatever. But just knowing, that you're checking that planner and that schedule all the time. I mean, it's going to be your best friend, right?
Yeah, it is. And, I would just add, and this is back to your prior point, just one little caveat. The responsibility of being up to speed on coursework is yours. If there's a class that you really are intending to attend and you're not in it yet, but you think you're going to there's a chance you could get in it, you better have the materials for that class too. right? Have all your supplies, textbooks, get the texts digitally if you can. Most of these textbooks, many of the textbooks are available on Kindle or iBooks. Get them digitally and start reading. Do the reading of the assignment. Many instructors publish their syllabus or will on request give you a copy of the syllabus so that you can pretend you are actually attending the class so that you're 100% up to speed when you actually get there.
Great point. Yeah.
So include those things in be prepared. Be prepared even for the stuff you're not officially, the stuff you want to do, not just the stuff you have to do.
Absolutely. Well, and the syllabus is the last point, is that, you're bringing up, and I think a very important one is as soon as you get it, take a look at it and start putting your assignments and your tests and these important dates and information into your calendar right away. Don't just assume that, well, I'll look at the syllabus. And this is something that we can do together if you're working with a coach. I request all of the syllabi of all of the classes for my students. I think it's really important for me to have, as well as making sure or keeping them accountable that they're putting that important information into their calendar and planners too, because I think it's just too easy to assume, well, since it's there, you can always go back to it. But I definitely recommend that you put it in the calendar so that you have a way to mark what you're doing,
totally.
To track what you're doing.
Totally agree. And one of the complications, and I am a complicating factor for my students, that, the syllabus that I create for my classes, they're all in Google Docs and they are shared resources. And when things change in my class, I update that Google Doc. I have to update it one place, and I assume that my students are going to keep up with those changes. And sometimes, I'll send a note out, say, if it's a significant change, I've made a change to an assignment or a weighting of that assignment, make sure you're checking the official syllabus for the class and not just the one that you may have printed out and put it in a binder or have entered those assignments. If you've gone through the work of entering all those assignments manually into your planner, you got to be ready for that, that assignments may change. And
absolutely.
You got to know what is canon, what is the gospel according to syllabus. So be ready for that.
There you go.
That's it.
So those are some tips to again, start that new year with confidence.
I love it. This is such good stuff. Join the conversation. If you're going back to school, you have friends who go back to school, you remember the halcyon days of your own school experience, comment. Join us on Facebook, facebook.com/TakeControlADHD, Twitter, TakeControlADHD, or, of course, on the website. Jump over there, learn more about the show. You can subscribe for free in iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. We sure love your participation. Thank you so much for listening. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright, and we'll catch you next week on Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.